Hey there, it's Paul from the growth team at CommandBar. I am going to take you through the highlights of a blog post we've written recently on product tooltips. Now, if you don't know what a tooltip is, you have probably seen a million of them and just never even realized. Tooltips are really discrete little actions that give contextual clues to your users in your apps. Why do they exist, do you ask? Great question. I mean, they're just super helpful, aren't they? Here is one, it looks like from Canva. It's just a little bit of extra context that hovers over a button, and it gives a non-intrusive insight to your users of how to kind of get through your product a little easier and how to give them some extra examples. In the blog post, when you read it, we give some examples of how Asana does it and some more information there. Some things to consider with tooltips is you create tooltips, but users don't realize they exist and therefore, cannot tap into the benefit of them, or users find tooltips annoying and distracting. If you overdo it, if you overcook it, you're going to make users unhappy, and you definitely want to avoid that. So be really particular about what tooltips you create and when you service them and why. So a bit on that, on why. Decide on, which features really need a tooltip and what form factors you're going to use and how you're going to implement them. Maybe not all features need a tooltip. You might find that some users can have a benefit or get a benefit out of seeing that tooltip on that little button or that feature or that toggle. Whereas some other areas of your app, a user might be able to use search-based intent to jump into, for example, with CommandBar, we have two products. We have, Copilot. We also have our Spotlight feature where users can jump in and ask questions about what they need help with. And we find that instead of just assuming that they need tooltips everywhere, sometimes it can be a little bit of a better experience to have users kind of navigate or kind of pull themselves through the app on their own rather than pushing these little notifications and widgets towards them. So just something to consider there. Following on from what I was saying, don't make the tooltips so obvious. You really want to make sure that the user feels like they are free to use the app in the way that they want to, that's going to get the most out of it and not be annoying or intrusive. So we've just written a little bit of context there. Write really good short copy, UX copywriting. We've actually written another blog post about this. If you go to commandbar.com/blog and search UX copywriting, you'll find that we've done like a big guide on how to write really well for UX copy. And think of the form factors. So do you want a little hover tooltip? So we've got here, we can hover it up, pops up the modal. Other times it's like just this ever-present tooltip, and it could block out the rest of the screen, if we really need to be abrasive and add some friction in there for the users to make sure that they are using a feature set in a certain way to get the most out of the app. The lightbox or modal or pop-up nudge, whatever you want to call it, is another option of how we do the tooltip. So we can see down here, we can kind of pop up and that little modal or lightbox jumps up with the extra information. The nudge is what we really enjoy doing at CommandBar, except we do nudges very, very particularly. We make them non-intrusive and non-annoying by making sure they are super targeted, super segmented, and we can use a lot of data like, is the user annoyed or frustrated? And if yes, we can tell through their clicking and actions, then we will surface the nudge. But anyway, back to tooltips. So we look at things like here. Yeah, is the user on page? Oh, I didn't even notice it in the blog. Cool. Is the user on the page for longer than expected? Are they taking the common path? Have they requested help, or are they doing something that they shouldn't have been doing? The nudges should be dynamic. They should not be just this one-stop blanket pop-up approach. Like that sucks from a UX point of view. How to create tooltips. There's a bunch of examples here. You can custom code them yourself. There's an open source framework, or of course we have tooltips in CommandBar. Find the element, select that you want to have that tooltip shown. We give you the options to create and stylize that little tooltip modal or the hover button, whatever it might be, and they look absolutely delicious. All right, that's a quick recap of the tooltip blog. Go and read it, check it out. There's a ton of examples in there you saw. think you'll really enjoy it, and pass it on to someone who you think might have use for it or find it insightful. All right, till next time, team. Bye.